What a pleasure it is to be in front of all of you esteemed guests. I'm Kim Heil, Associate Artistic Director of the Old Globe. And I was so heartened to listen to Barry. You know, he is my boss, so I listen to him every day. But I am continuously inspired by what he has to say about meeting the moment. And so it's really my great honor to introduce two artists to the stage who have embodied these words through their work and their careers in bringing very personal stories to the front of the American audience and proving that sometimes personal stories are the most powerful ones. So first I want to welcome Gloria Calderón Kellett, who is a director, an activist, a writer, and producer, and you may know her work from One Day at a Time, With Love, and just as recently as last year, we presented her play, one of the good ones. It was a smashing hit here at the Old Globe. And she's a fierce advocate for Latina voices, for gender parity, and for underrepresented stories and arts funding. And then my next guest is Ins Choi, who is the writer-producer of Kim's Convenience, and as you can see, we're right on his set. And he took this story and it became a huge hit in Canada. It ran for 5 seasons and it's on Netflix and CBC. Yes, don't hold your applause for just a moment. They're gonna come out. And we're thrilled that he's actually here starring as the amazing Appa in Kim's Convenience. And you can see him here until June 14th. So come on down, Gloria and Ins. Thanks so much. So I want to start with Ins because this is probably a new place on the stage for you to be positioned in a chair in front of the cash register.
Yeah, my final mark is right here. So I stand here quite a bit in the show. If you're interested, come see the show.
Come see the show.
We have a
So
show tonight,
good.
7 o'clock,
He's
all week long.
amazing.
Next
He's
week
amazing.
as well.
So funny.
I'm sure if you talk to Barry, he'll give you a deal on a ticket.
So ends Kim's Convenience, which really is such a beautiful, intimate, and yet hilarious and universal story. Started off as a play that you wrote and you directed in Canada, and then it sort of blew up into this cultural phenomenon. At what point did you know that you were onto something really, really special?
I don't know. Yeah, I wrote the play like 20 years ago, and then I sent it to all the big theaters in Toronto, and everyone said no. They all knew me as an actor, but they didn't know me as a writer. And I had never seen a Korean family on stage portrayed, and I wanted to just see them on stage, my life reflected a little bit, and so I entered it into the Fringe Festival, which is on right now in San Diego Fringe Festival, which is a do-it-yourself festival. And then it got in, and it just took off. But I always thought, I always knew my sisters would love it, and my cousins, and the Korean community, they would love it. But then at the Fringe Festival, like 20 years ago, it was like more people could identify with it, and that really surprised me. And then we went from the Fringe Festival, which is like a $10 ticket, to like a mainstream Soul Pepper theater company in Toronto, and which is a higher ticket price. And it was like, oh boy, I don't know if mainstream theater will like it or connect to it. And surprisingly, they did. And so every step of the way, it's always been a pleasant surprise that people have identified with it, whether they're Asian or not, and have loved it and celebrated it. Yeah. So there was no real moment where I was like, oh, this is gonna make it. My default is, oh, this is gonna fail. I'm more used to not making it than making it, so yeah.
But at some point, was there a moment where you thought, this has touched a nerve?
Yeah, people just in the live show, people laughing. Like it's still surprising. It's set in Toronto, It's a Korean immigrant family, working class, just, regular folks. And here we are in San Diego, like 15 years later, and people are loving the show still. And, and so it's, I don't know, it's always nice. It's a nice surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I'm Filipino, and I watched it. It's my second time. Actually, I've watched it several times by now, and I can identify members of my own family. Gloria, you too have a TV show, One Day at a Time, about a Latino family. And you have actually that and so many other amazing, exciting projects on television. And at the same time, you've been a very vocal advocate for gender parity and all the various issues that are really important in our field. What have you learned about your advocacy, and what has been successful for you in doing these things consecutively at the same time, being an advocate and being an artist?
Well, they go. Is this on?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm very loud, so I'm not worried either way. I would say for me, I didn't intend to be an advocate. I didn't really know I was being an advocate. I just wanted to see my community on television and film. I thought it was really important. It seems that right now, specifically being Latino is political. I didn't know that, but our very existence seems political in this moment. And, the United States is about 20% Latino, San Diego about 30%, and there's just an erasure of our cultural stories. We just don't really exist often, and I'm so grateful to the Globe for putting us on stage, an affluent Latino family. We also have money. And we are also, very much the future majority minority of the country. And so for me, it's just, I know how important it is for people to be seen. I remember writing in my diary, oh, I'm not blonde, and so I don't know that I'm gonna find love, because everybody I saw on TV that was falling in love growing up was blonde. And so those are things that affect people, not seeing your stories reflected, or when you do see yourself on TV reflect. I remember the first time I heard Calderón on TV, it was on Miami Vice, and I was so excited. And then it was the drug dealer. So you're like, I'm first generation. My parents came from Cuba. They came with a suitcase and nothing else. I feel very much the American dream. This is how I sound. And it's crazy to me that there is a deep misconception of this community that I come from that I love so much. And so I want to share a quick story that I've shared with you before about the importance of storytelling and advocacy and policy shift. There's an incredible artist, Fabiana Rodriguez, who's out of Oakland, who did a study on policy and how storytelling and culture affects policy. And she looked at the LGBTQ community, Will and Grace coming out, Ellen coming out, Laverne Cox, and what was happening a decade later. It takes about 10 years for stories that reverberate in culture to have an effect. And when I thought, okay, then what I'm doing now is going to have an effect hopefully 10 years from now if we have the momentum. And then I thought about my parents coming here. They came in 1962 under Operation Pedro Pan. It was a program that took children from Cuba and gave them political asylum while they were going to get Castro out, and it didn't happen. But that was a time where we did that in this country. We took children into camps, and we gave them shelter, and we figured things out, and that's what we used to do. And I thought, what was happening 10 years earlier in this country that allowed for that kindness and that decency? Oh, the #1 show in America was I Love Lucy. Cuban-American man in your home every day. And that story literally is why I'm sitting on this stage. That's the impact. I think we look at art like it's ornamental. We look at art as though the arts are somehow luxury, and they're infrastructure. They are necessary.
Thank you, Gloria. Yeah, absolutely. The theme of this festival is meeting the moment. And yet there's a little irony to this, because as the three of us were talking about before we came on stage, we've been at this moment before, right? And Ins, you talked actually about a moment, maybe it was like not too long ago, maybe like 10 years ago, where there was what people perceived as a, a resurgence of ethnic storytelling, and oh, we've made it because of Fresh Off the Boat and Kim's Convenience. And yet, I'd love for you to share, your musings on this.
I read a book called Rise. It's Asian American history from the 1990s till now, or not, or I don't, yeah. And there was a chapter about when Fresh Off the Boat and Kim's Convenience was on the air, and there was this kind of collective feeling among Asian Americans that, oh, we've made it. This is the first step towards more. And Crazy Rich Asians came out, and we're like, okay, here we go. Floodgates are open. We've made it. Come on. And then nothing. So it was just the idea that progress is always kind of little spurts of activity when artists, meet the moment and step into an opportunity, but that it is not quite as linear as we hope and continuous as we aspire to have it.
And Gloria, we were talking actually earlier about the same thing. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I would say that we're also so fractured in what we consume. We all used to watch Friends and ER and the Thursday night lineup, and now with so much content out there, these echo chambers have formed, and it makes it much harder for us to have a collective conversation. And so that is sort of the bummer. It's why I'm really drawn to theater, especially with the rise of AI. I'm so much more drawn to theater and the collective experience. I think people are craving real life moments where we are in community, learning how to be human together and laughing together or crying together or hearing a piece of music together. I think we need it for our humanity. We need to touch grass, and theater and going out to the arts has become touching grass. And so I do worry about this up and back, because it feels like 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. And I've been here before. We'll do it again. We'll keep pushing through. That's what we do. I say I'm a cockroach. Everything could burn down. I'm still going to be here. A very cute cockroach.
I was going to say fabulous, fabulous cockroach. So when you're thinking about the art that you're about to make, right? Because at your core, the two of you are artists. You have stories to tell and, communities that you want to represent. When does the activism sort of creep into that thinking, or does it not? Do you feel that perhaps just art for art's sake is really political by nature, or do you feel that you have to be intentional?
I just feel like by virtue of how I look, it's always been political. It's always been a statement. Like having this set here, 5 actors of color, and having an audience celebrate them in this great theater in the city, that's a huge act of political forward thinking. And not only Kim's Convenience, but the Hombres, they're next door. And it's I just saw a run through rehearsal, great play, and that's opening, I don't know, a couple weeks or next week or something like that. But just kind of virtue of being this body, this hair, these eyes, this face, these features is political. I remember being in theater school, the only non-white actor in the class, and I didn't think it was weird. But once we got to casting, it was like, oh, I'm different. Oh, okay. So then, and then even after, and then even more so, because in university or college, it's they kind of have to cast you. But then you graduate, you get into the real world, and no one's got to do anything for you. And so you hit this hard brick wall of casting and relegated to, Chinese waiter number 4 in the background, or Asian gangster number 5 in the background. I've done a lot of background work in my illustrious history. But yeah, so it's always political. So when I write, I don't think of an agenda necessarily. I always write from what I know, and I continue to write projects and work on projects that's gonna move not only our community forward, but the nation, like including allies, including the mainstream, bringing people along. So it's not just us against them; it's all of us together, moving forward, progressing. Yeah.
Gloria. I wonder the same about your work, whether you feel that the practice comes before intention, or does the intention sort of...
I would say similar. I would say a similar thing. Yeah, when I started auditioning, it was gangbanger's girlfriend and gangbanger's sister. That's all I was offered. So I'd be like, Chewy, put the gun down, orale. And then it was crazy. And I remember
Hired.
I would come in. Well, you know what would happen? They'd say, "Oh, you're too white, and you look too, like, you seem too educated." You have to understand, her parents came from another country. I'm like, so did mine. Well, you have to, because they'd always want me to have an accent too. And I was like, they're like, well, you have to understand. I'm like, I am first generation. Yo sí puedo hablar español también, pero I speak English most of the time, right? So like I think what drew me to be a storyteller was so many times sitting opposite, and the people on the opposite side of the table were telling me about me, but didn't look like me. So I was like, oh, they need my help. So I'm gonna help them.
Yes, girl, tell them. I have to admit, it's in musical theater, right? I started off as a musical theater performer back in the 90s. And what was the one role that was right for me was Connie in a chorus line. And she has a song about being 4'10". I'm 5'5", which I was very proud of as an Asian woman, Filipino. And yet, I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even do Connie because I was too tall. And so, at that point, you just, like you said, you have to show them, right? And it's not like I was being political. I just wanted to work. That's right. That's right. One thing that we figured out backstage is that the three of us, in addition to all being Generation X, is that we're all parents. And so I wonder, actually, if our work, that what we do here as artists and as producers, has an added layer of meaning because we have this other generation watching us. And I wonder if you can talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. You want me to go first this time? Sure. Definitely. Everything I do is look, my why is my parents. My why is my parents that were in a country where they could not be free, who came here so I could. So I wake up every single day with the deep feeling that my ancestors' hands are on my shoulders as I move forward. That's tremendous purpose. My children see the work that I've done. They see what I have gone through, and I know they walk with that. And so it's also community. It's wanting to also share my community. I have no desire to keep anyone out. I want to invite you in. One of the things that I was delighted by growing up, I grew up in San Diego, is people wanted to stay in my house. Because in my house, anybody can come over anytime. We always have food in the fridge. We can always make, as Latinos, we're like, oh, ¿qué tú quieres? You want food? All right, come on over. 20 people? Fine. In my backyard, everyone sleep on the floor. Like it's, the more the merrier. And so I was like, oh, no, people need to see this. I need to share this feeling, this work ethic, all of this, like the number one entrepreneurs of new small businesses are Latino. People don't know that. Those stories aren't shared. The most decorated veterans right now are Latino. So it's like, oh, if I am been given this platform, I am going to celebrate and share with you because I'm so excited and I'm so proud. And I think maybe you don't know. So I'll tell you. And then more people will be inspired to tell. So I think you walk with that. But in terms of like, when I'm writing a character, I don't think, what's their political point of view? I think, what is human about them? What are you going to say? Oh, what was lovely about having one of the good ones here was seeing all the non-Latinos in the audience say, oh my God, that's my mom, that's my grandma, that's that's my dad. Because specificity is universal.
Ins?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I feel like the only Asians I saw on TV was Bruce Lee, and then in Canada, David Suzuki, who's this amazing scientist. Um, so it was like a kung fu fighter or a scientist. Those were my options in terms of representation, and I sucked at math, and I couldn't fight, so I had no future. Uh, but uh, but then like going to acting school, writing, getting into creative, writing, poetry, songs, plays, screenplays. Um, when Kim's Convenience was on, I'd see my kids. My daughter is 18 and my son is 15, and this is a few years back, but um, like they go to school, and then I'm always shy about what I do for a living. But they're talking about Kim's with their friends. And at the same time, like BTS was like huge. So all these kids, these white kids, black kids at school, they're like rocking out the BTS, learning Korean, like singing Korean songs, talking about Kim's Convenience. What? Like it was, like a full circle moment. I always felt like my kids grew up watching people who look like them on TV. And so they weren't limited to kung fu fighter or scientist or people in the background, but they could just it wasn't different. It was normal. So for sure, I want to get them off screens nowadays, but that's another battle for another day.
Going back to the theme of the festival, meeting the moment, what is maybe one thing that you hope after these next 2 days and after our conversation that you hope that these folks take with them?
I mean, the importance of the arts. I go to DC every year and speak with members of Congress fighting for the NEA, which is under attack, right? Again. And what we do is we talk about, like, we're not trying to make everybody actors and writers and directors. We get it, right? That's mostly not what people are doing. But what the NEA does and what arts funding does is it does give to a community. For every dollar, specifically to the NEA, for every dollar put into a community, $9 come out. Also, all of these companies right now, Fortune 500 companies, are saying all they want are good public speakers, independent thinkers. Those things are started fundamentally when you're 10, 12, 14. When you're in a school play, you are nervous, you get in front of people, you say the lines. That makes you a better public speaker. At the end of a stressful day, when you are listening to music, or you are watching dance, or you are moving yourself, or you are playing an instrument, those are things that make you a better citizen. Mental health services. The arts are directly linked to better mental health. So we're talking about societal issues. It's not a luxury item, the arts. It's been sort of reframed as luxury. It should not be. It should be for everyone. And you see communities where the arts are thriving, and you see when they are not. And I think it is vital that everyone really start. I mean, I say it a lot, but I really do feel like it is infrastructure. We have to think about it in that way.
I don't know. I hope good work comes out of this. I don't know who you are, but I don't know what you guys do. But hopefully it helps move us forward. We've been touring across America with Kim's, and it's particularly in San Francisco. I got to meet with some, what do you call them? Venture capitalists. Asian venture capitalists who came to see the show, and they grew up from nothing, and they were like, oh my gosh, I love this show. And then there was a group of them that came, and they were like, how can we support you? What can we do more? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Do you have some beachfront property that you could let me stay at for a week every year? And I'll do more writing. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, there are a lot of wealthy people with good intentions, good hearts, and like, I'm sure maybe they're here. that want to invest into some projects. And I feel like the way movies and TV shows are made, the industry's changing like by the month. And I hear of, things, people are producing things themselves because they have funders. And so it's not just waiting for grants, although that's very important. But also, like, there's the private sector that can come alongside multiple projects. And, like any kind of thing, you invest in 10 things, one's going to hit, 3 maybe do okay, and, 5 will fail. Was that 10? I told you I wasn't good at math. Math is not my strong suit. I'm the
Breaking
anti-stereotype.
stereotype.
Like, don't, yeah. Anyways, so I don't know. If you're a wealthy individual, you want to invest in projects, come see me after the show.
Ins, I also know that you have a gift for the audience.
Oh, yeah. I wrote a poem. I wanted to share this poem with you guys. This is a poem I wrote for myself while I was writing a new play. It's something that I needed to hear, and then so I want to share it with you. It's called "Get Started." I'm gonna stand. Get started. Get started before you get hard-hearted. Get started before your dearly beloved becomes dearly departed. Start it. I know it's hard. Starting is hard. It's hard to start. It might be the hardest part. Starting from nothing to something. Something from nothing. Because you can do something with something. Something can be done if there's something there. But nothing's nothing. It's a different thing. It's a lack of a thing. It's no thing. What do you do with no thing? What can you do? Nothing. There's nothing you can do with nothing. But order another coffee, check another email, scratch another sensible itch, and as offense turns to defense, creation turns to maintenance, and bam, nothing's back. But once you start, just like that, nothing's gone. That taunting void is silenced. The spell is broken, and the despairing abyss of a blank page urging you to relent vanishes. And don't worry, craft will come later. Yes, rigor will come later. I promise you. Rhythm, reason, rhyme will all come later. But for now, no matter how bad that plot is, or if the horse is in front of where the cart is, know your supple heart is where your start is, and get started. Thank you, everyone.
And with that, thank you, Ins. Thank you, Gloria. Have a great day, everybody.